Skincare tips for hot weather. Well, hey guys, summer 2024 is forecasted to be a hot one. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you some tips, tricks, things to look out for with regards to your skincare in these extreme temperatures. Your skin is your first line of defense against heat, and it helps you out by communicating with your brain to cool the body, and it cools the body by producing sweat. Sweat comes out of little glands in the skin called eccrine sweat glands. It is a salty water solution, and as it evaporates, it helps to keep you cool. My number one tip is to talk to your doctor about the medications that you might be taking, because certain medications can interfere with your thermoregulatory responses and impact sweat production. Many people take a class of medications called SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, used to treat depression. These medications actually can make you sweat even more, and as a result, it makes you prone to dehydration in extremes of temperature. You put out too much sweat. If you are taking these medications, talk to your doctor about these side effects and make sure to take measures to stay hydrated during extremes of temperature. Also, a class of medications used to treat depression and medications that we prescribe in dermatology to treat itch as well are called tricyclic antidepressants. For example, amitriptyline, brand name Elavil. This actually can lead to a decrease in sweat output, so you're unable to cool your body as efficiently. It makes you at greater risk for heat stroke and heat-related illness in extremes of temperature. Many patients take medications for ADHD. ADHD medications can also interfere with your brain-skin communication to keep you cool. They can decrease sweat output. They also can decrease the unpleasant sensation of getting hot. So maybe you don't realize that you are overheating and you don't, get out of the hot conditions as quickly. So, it just makes you more vulnerable. Again, take measures to keep your skin cool as well as to stay hydrated. Patients with bipolar disorder are also prescribed medications that can impact their ability to sweat properly and to stay cool. And if they are experiencing a manic episode, characteristically, they will exhibit signs of increased motor activity that generates more heat. So they are an at-risk group. Number two is those alcoholic beverages. Try and refrain from drinking alcoholic beverages during extremes of heat. It really can put you at greater risk in extremes of heat. So maybe drink your alcohol in the evening when the temperatures are cooler. I caution about alcoholic beverages in the sun in particular, because alcoholic beverages, they are very dehydrating. So they increase your risk of dehydration. They also deplete your skin's antioxidant reservoirs, so it becomes less well equipped to handle the damaging effects of ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Alcohol consumption increases your risk of a sunburn, probably because of the depletion of antioxidants, along with the fact that, it impairs your judgment, so you're less likely to make the connection that your skin is burning. Alcoholic beverages also put you at greater risk for heat-related illnesses, heat exhaustion, and death due to overheating. A skin problem that often pops up during hot weather is called commonly prickly heat or heat rash, and it occurs as a result of blockage of those eccrine sweat glands. So they can't put out sweat properly to cool you. And the rash that develops and the symptoms are going to depend on how deep down in the sweat gland that blockage is. For example, if the blockage is up pretty close to the top of the skin, you'll get these little clear, tiny little blisters filled with fluid. That's called miliaria crystallina. We see that a lot actually in little babies. If their parents have been swaddling them really tightly in blankets, they get overheated. Their little sweat glands are still maturing, so they're at risk for this. But if that blockage goes down a little bit deeper, then you can get these red, itchy bumps. That's called miliaria rubra. If it goes down even deeper, you can develop little pus bumps. That's called miliaria profunda. And the reason this happens is a combination of excessive heat, the need to produce sweat, combined with occlusion from like tight-fitting clothing. It's really important to prevent this, to take measures to keep your skin cool, to wear loose-fitting, breathable fabrics, try and get good circulation over the skin surface to prevent this. And the reason it's so important, in particular with the forecasted extremes of temperature, is that if you have a decent surface area of your skin where the sweat glands are all plugged up and not able to put out sweat, that area becomes what we call anhydrotic. That's the medical term for no sweat production. And remember, the purpose of sweat is to cool your body. So when you can't put out enough sweat from a large surface area of the skin, well, then you become at risk for overheating, heat exhaustion, and heat-related illnesses. I have a video all about heat rash where I go into detail with a lot more little tips and tricks for preventing heat rash and how to deal with it once you develop it. I'm going to link that down below in the description box. My next tip is for those of you who like to work out, and I encourage working out. It's good for you, it's good for your body, it's good for your health, but it can be quite miserable when it's very hot, and it can make you produce so much sweat that you become at risk for dehydration and heat exhaustion. Not to mention, it actually can limit you in how good of a workout, so to speak, you get, because it just becomes very unbearable, very uncomfortable, especially if you're producing a lot of sweat. A fan can help keep the skin cool while you work out. Like, I run on a treadmill in the summer because I'm too much of a wimp to run out here in like 100-degree weather. No, thank you. I don't want any part of it. I will stick to the treadmill, but I put a little fan on there. The other tip, though, is to get a little spray bottle of water, mist yourself, and allow that fan to circulate air over your skin to evaporate that water off the skin surface and act almost as second sweat to help cool you off faster. Ideally, you're working out with air conditioning, but I know that is not always an option. If you like to run outside in the hot months, make sure you are scheduling your workouts for really, really early in the morning before the sun has come up, or in the evening after the sun has gone down. Not only, sun damage, hello, but also the heat. The heat is on. Stay safe. Wearing long sleeves can help you out way more than you would ever imagine. I get comments all the time, as a side note, in my vlogs. How can you live in Houston? It's August and you're wearing long sleeves. People side-eye I get comments like that all the time. And I'm telling you, wearing long sleeves of the right fabric, which is key, wearing long sleeves will keep you cooler 100%. 100%. I mean, just observe people who are working outdoors landscaping. You're not going to see professional landscaping, people whose occupation is doing that, out there in a tank top, a bikini top. No, you're going to see them wearing long sleeves. And the reason it's important is if you wear long sleeves of a moisture wicking fabric, it's going to help to pull sweat away from the skin surface to keep you cool. And it's also going to protect the skin from sun and from heat. It really will make a difference. Now, obviously, you're not going to be wrapping up in a wool sweater in the middle of summer. That's not going to be a good idea. But if you choose a lightweight, breathable, moisture wicking fabric, long sleeves, I'm telling you, it really makes a huge, huge, huge difference. All right, here's a skin problem that often appears during hot summer months, and it's related to a yeast that lives on everyone's skin called Malassezia. It's also called Pityrosporum, and it causes these little patches of discoloration that turn lighter than your background skin color. It's called tinea versicolor. It comes and goes. It tends to get worse this time of year, and it's a lot more common in people who are, working out, athletes, but anyone can get it. It's really common in tropical climates. Not only can it happen like on your chest, your back, your thighs, it also can happen, on your face, your neck, and it's related to that little yeast. Another similar condition that becomes more common that is also related to that yeast but presents differently is called Pityrosporum folliculitis. A lot of people refer to it as fungal acne, but its proper name is Pityrosporum folliculitis. Basically, that little yeast travels down into the hair follicle, causes a little bump that's very itchy. And this rash, it's not acne, it's a folliculitis. All of the little bumps tend to look more or less the same. They're uniform in appearance. And in contrast to acne, there are no blackheads or whiteheads. It's also characteristically pretty itchy. Acne can itch, but Pityrosporum folliculitis is a lot more likely to itch. Either condition, is related to that little yeast and they become a lot more common in hot, humid environments. So if you're dealing with that, a basic measure is to use an anti-dandruff shampoo as a body wash. Anti-dandruff shampoos with zinc pyrithione, ketoconazole, or selenium sulfide. You lather them to the areas where you get this. Let that lather sit on your skin for several minutes at least, then rinse it off. And do this every night. Do it every night for 2 weeks. It can clear it up, and then do it a couple of nights a week as maintenance. You can see your dermatologist if this tip doesn't help you clear it up, because they can prescribe topical antifungals that might be a little bit more effective for you. They also can prescribe a pill that you take by mouth, and then you work up a sweat so the medication gets released through your sweat gland and helps to reduce that yeast. That can help, but here's the thing. It comes back. It often comes back. So you kind of have to take matters into your own hands and build a regimen with an anti-dandruff active ingredient to just control it. So you can use the shampoos. I'll list some down below. It doesn't matter the brand name. You just want to look for those active ingredients. But also they sell a zinc pyrithione bar soaps, cleansers that you can use on the face and the body. Vanity Cream used to make one, but they discontinued it. I recently discovered a new one. It's blue. I will link it down below in the description box. Another set of skin problems that happens for a lot of people in hot, humid climates is intertrigo. Intertrigo is just a broad umbrella term to describe rashes that occur in these skin folds. But in this situation, they're little sweat rashes where the sweat collects there and is subject to friction. So those two things, sweat stuck on your skin plus friction, leads to breakdown of your skin barrier, rashes, and those rashes can then become colonized with Candida yeast. And that can be quite painful, quite uncomfortable. More common in people with obesity, but anyone can develop them. Also, between the thighs, you can get chafing. So here's what you need to do. You need to take measures, again, to keep these areas cool. Make sure you're wearing moisture wicking, lightweight, breathable fabric. This is not the time to be wearing tight jeans. You want to wear moisture wicking, loose, breathable fabrics. You want to take measures to just get good circulation of air over the skin. There's also powders that you can get to absorb some moisture. Those sometimes can get a little cakey. The other thing though is to use some sort of balm to cut down on friction. Petrolatum, aka Vaseline, is a great option. However, it can feel pretty greasy, especially when you're sweating a lot. People don't like that. An alternative is a dimethicone-based skin protectant. It tends to feel a bit more lightweight. You also can use a diaper rash cream. So it doesn't have to be something fancy or expensive. You just want to look for a barrier cream. And a diaper rash cream is like the quintessential barrier cream. It has zinc in it typically, which is anti-inflammatory and soothing and helps with protecting the skin. Something people in my city deal with a lot because they joke about it is called swamp butt. Is just a common terminology for it. But basically it's refers to breakouts on the rear end along with rashes and overall increase in odor related to just the excess heat and sweating. And here are some tips for preventing this. So the breakouts on the rear end are often a folliculitis. So you have hair follicles on your rear end, right? And bacteria that live on the skin can trickle down there and cause little pimples. They can go quite deep, become uncomfortable. And sweat is irritating to the skin and sort of, you know, tips the balance for favoring that. So make sure you are showering regularly. Use a benzoyl peroxide acne wash to the rear end. Let the lather sit on the skin for a few minutes while you're in the shower and then rinse it off. That can help. But don't be afraid to change your underwear midday at work because you don't want to sit in sweaty underwear. This is a big factor, is sitting in sweaty underwear. So don't be afraid to bring a couple of pairs of dry, clean underwear in a little Ziploc bag, you know, hidden in your work bag or whatever, and slip into the bathroom middle of the day if you need to, and just change into dry underwear. Put the dirty underwear in the Ziploc bag and, you know, wash it when you get home. Free thing that you can do to help stay dry. A lot of people I know do this because it's so hot and humid here, and they don't, you know, it really leads to skin problems as well as odor. Palms of our hands, the soles of our feet can sweat a lot, especially in extremes of temperature, and that actually can trigger different skin problems. One of them is called dyshydrotic hand eczema. Dyshydrotic hand eczema, you get these little water blisters that erupt, super itchy. I mean, it's a nightmare. And I have a whole video on hand eczema. I talk about a lot of different triggers for this, but sweat is a common one. I deal with this a lot, okay? So you can actually get an antiperspirant to reduce the sweat output on your hands and feet. It can affect your feet as well. Dyshydrotic eczema. So this is what I use. It's called Sweat Block. It's fragrance-free antiperspirant. It feels a little odd going on. The way to use this is to apply it at night before you go to bed. And then it feels kind of weird, like I said, kind of drying a bit. But let me tell you, the next morning you're free to wash off whatever is on the surface of your skin, the residue, because the ingredient in it goes down into the sweat gland while you sleep to reduce sweat output. So the following morning you can wash your hands, put on moisturizer. This has been a game changer for me for flares of hand eczema related to sweating. So highly recommend it. Also, when using it for your feet, not only, you know, can it help with the hand eczema, but sweaty feet, you know, lead to foot odor because bacteria down there break down the sweat, and that's what leads to odor. Sweaty feet also can cause excess callus, as well as put you at greater risk for potential foot fungus because the skin becomes macerated and then the barrier is inherently impaired because of that. So it becomes a more hospitable environment for like fungus. So that is another tip. Speaking of sweaty feet and the antiperspirant thing, the other thing to do along the lines of changing your underwear at work is change into dry socks. It can make a huge difference. The other tip though, when it comes to body odor, whether it be under your arms, your feet, is to use a benzoyl peroxide acne wash because this can cut down on the bacteria that break down sweat and contribute to odor. Just lather it to the affected areas in the shower, leave it on the skin for a few minutes, and then rinse it off. It really can have a deodorizing effect in the long run. All right, y'all, those are my tips, tricks, strategies with regards to staying healthy, keeping your skin happy, and working for you, not against you, for staying safe in the heat this summer. Stay hydrated, protect your skin, stay cool, try and go in the AC as much as possible. If you're able to, get a fan, cool showers, don't wear tight restrictive clothing. That's kind of the main gist, but I hope this video was informative to you. On the end slate, I'm going to link my recent video all about summer skincare hacks. You're definitely gonna wanna watch that one next. I give a lot of practical strategies for summer skincare in that video, but if you guys like this one, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.